Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time On Target morning brief. Today is a Wednesday, August 12th, and today we're going to invest with Military Precision. If you are watching this on replay, thank you so much for checking us out. What we do here in the morning is we have a select few of us that get here together in an investment forum, and we talk about all the best picks that we have and make our plan for some long-term investing. We also do some short-term investing stuff. If this is something you're interested in becoming a part of, then go ahead and reach out to me at steve@ototnow.com, and I'll get you a free trial into the room, and you can join us for free for a week or so and see if it's something that fits you. And again, discount price is $25 if you want to join us. What you don't see on replay is we have a chat room. We also have a Q&A room, and that's how the room is communicating with each other and communicating with me, bringing their ideas to the table. So it's pretty cool. Come check us out. The rest of it is a fighter pilot brief, so let's get started. Mission objectives today: we're going to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Our specific tactical objectives today that we're going to talk about is the electric vehicle investing. Tesla's in the news for the stock price. We shall. It's going down for sure. I see a good comment there, Predator. It'll be going down by 80% because it's splitting. So we're going to talk about how that's affecting not only Tesla's stock price, but also all the other electric vehicle players in the space, from cars to trucks and to power suppliers, is what we're going to look at today. Our question today, though, is how does a stock split affect a stock? So we'll get into that a little bit later on after I answer all of your questions, of course. So our flow is long, short, open, short, long. What that means is we're going to start with long-term investing stuff, do an around the world review on what happened last night in the markets, then come to today's headlines, including talking about our new vice presidential candidate, and then we are going to go into the long-term investments. You see 6 names that we're going to talk about there. We'll talk about those for about 5 to 6 minutes, and then once we get within 10 minutes of the market open, we are going to switch to the day trading mode and take a look for some names either going long or short, gapping up or down to that 5-10% with enough volume for us to be able to hop in and hop out and make some money. No guarantee we'll find one, but I will call a couple out there based off of what I see. You can trade real money, you can trade paper money, or you can not even trade at all, just follow along. All right, contingencies. We do have real-time tech support at steve@ototnow.com. So just go ahead and email there if you're having any issues, and we will get you all taken care of. And lastly, standard disclaimer applies that this is an educational presentation only, so you have to do your own due diligence before you act on anything you hear in the presentation. All right, we're going to switch up to the ThinkPipes platform from TD Ameritrade, and what you're seeing right there is the 1-year SPY in review. Of note, just looking at that tail part, a lot of green arrows, and then we were in the red yesterday. Why were we in the red? Well, Russia had a vaccine. That puts us in the red after going in the green. And then, of course, there was some skepticism on whether they really have the vaccine or not, or whether they overplayed their hand. And then we had the Big Ten and Pac-12 canceling their football seasons or moving them to the spring, more appropriate, with all of the problems that brings. I think that's probably the worst answer, is moving it to the spring, because it confuses everything going forward versus a clean cancel. But anyhow, that brought the market in some. And then, of course, overnight, we have a Tesla stock split and a new vice presidential candidate to get everybody happy again as we move forward. And, of course, the SEC says, yeah, we're just going to play our normal season. So, all right, let's look at the Qs. The Qs are representative of the NASDAQ. You remember tech and the market are kind of out of sync. So tech has been in a little bit of a sell-off lately. We shall see if Tesla's stock split kind of brings that back today. It's not really a sell-off more than it is a reversion to the mean, if you will, because it's moved up so far so fast. I'm not really worried about it, so we shall see. All right, we'll switch back over to the SPY, and we'll look at the past 5 days. As we zoom in here a little bit, you see the opening days in blue, and you see the after hours in that light purple, and you see the big move down there late in the day. That was the Big Ten announcement, and then I thought maybe we would see the wheels fall off. Well, it fell off for a little while, then kind of didn't stop falling off, and we got back happy again. So you see the green right after the market. That was the Tesla announcement, and of course we're gapping up off of the vice presidential nomination, which I think will be celebrated both sides as a win. But we'll get to more of that in a minute. All right, as far as the calendar, a couple earnings are out this morning. Not as many as normal, though. We had Brinker. International, which again is the parent company of Maggiano's and a couple other names out there. They fared pretty well. They beat earnings. And then we also had Round Rock Gourmet Burgers, RRGB, did more of a specific niche that is really kind of catering to the blue class worker, if you will. And they were affected kind of hard. They might have been last night that was out. But anyhow, that's a name we'll be looking at short today. They've already sold off 7% with that. So, all right. That's all we're going to talk about for earnings. Let's go ahead and come down to CNBC. We will take a look at around the world. You see our futures there in the green, pretty decent move up there. And then as far as Asia markets, they were split last time I looked. So yeah, China a little bit behind, everybody else up. Over to EU where everything was up earlier. And back to the US on Friday. Those were yesterday. Those were our numbers. You see the NASDAQ, pretty decent size move down there. And again, that's mostly in tech. We'll see. As far as our VIX, we did see a drop in the VIX and then it shoot back higher, but then eventually ended up off of that 7% there. So I do expect the VIX to continue higher at some point. You can see there that it's pretty much at a low. All right, as far as bonds, it's kind of insidious with the bond movement, but the 10-year has actually moved up decently. We were down to below 0.6% for a while. We're up almost to 0.7%. Not anywhere near normal, but to get the 10-year back above 1 sure would be nice. All right, over to oil. Looking good at around the 42.50 range, not worried there. And then over in precious metals, kind of stabilizing from the sell-off. Obviously, silver was down somewhere between 7 and 12% during the day yesterday. So pretty heavy sell-off, a little bit of a continuation there today. All right, over to our headlines. Let's talk about, you do have Sumner Redstone passed away, pretty good long life, 97. So he's a media tycoon, so that's why he's getting the top billing there, but nothing that's going to move the markets other than celebrating a good long life. All right, Wall Street executives, Kamala Harris. Let's talk about that. Who wins? Everybody wins. Everybody can't win, but everybody is pretty happy with that pick. From a Democratic side, obviously, it fills his agenda of, he said he was going to pick a female, probably a minority. He has now done that. So from a combined ticket, possibly, bringing more of the vote from a wider area, wider demographic, if you will, based off of that, is being celebrated by the Democrats. However, it's also being celebrated by the Republicans because she was pretty quickly dismissed out of the presidential race. And other than having probably the most personality out of everybody, so it means that the one vice presidential debate might be fun. I think she's a very beatable candidate, and certainly when you look long term, if the Republicans lose this election to Joe Biden, kind of a weak candidate, kind of a Jimmy Carter type candidate, the Republicans could come back strong. And Kamala Harris, don't know if she has the chops, if you will, to turn around and be the 8-year president after a 4-year Biden presidency. So we shall see. As far as Wall Street, yep, nothing too much to upset the apple cart. We know taxes are going up if the Democrats get elected, but pretty middle of the road as far as we shouldn't see anything completely crazy. All right, let's continue down and take a look. Steinmart files for bankruptcy. I didn't see that earlier. Again, Anchorstar family used to shop a lot there, so that's too bad. Tesla shares are rising on basically a meaningless stock split. Don't you ever talk bad about Elon Musk like that. It's not meaningless, it's brilliant. And that's because that's what he does. So Tesla split 5-for-1 exactly 1 week after Apple decides to split 4-for-1. And I'm sure if I asked this morning, why did he go with a 5-for-1? It's because that's clearly one better than Apple. And that's how Elon Musk does business. So we'll talk more about these stock splits later and what that means for a stock. But any stock that splits, that's a good thing. Reverse splits are a bad thing, but we'll get more into depth later. It's not meaningless, though. It is meaningless mathematically. It's not meaningless as far as what it'll do for the stock. All right. Let's continue on down, see what else we have here. There's Brinker International we talked about, and Tesla. Eastman Kodak, again, their big contract, I think, is going to get yanked from them. So it's going to they'll turn up crashing back to where they were. We'll take a look at them on the short side today to see how they're moving. The CEO did speak. Again, we'll see how it's affecting the stock. Russia's vaccine, again, people are scoffing, saying it's not a real vaccine. It's not anything that everybody else doesn't already have. It's just a move by Putin to power play. We'll see. Time will tell. The double screen Android, if you haven't seen that, there's a little picture off to the right. You can have a little folding deal. Things like this previously, the bendable phones, the folding, those things have like all flopped. So I mean, good on them for trying. Probably eating that one. We'll see. All right, let's continue down. All right. NIO, the Tesla of China is, we shall see. They do have a cool website. You should always check it out at nio.com. All right, one more. Cruise stocks on the way up. We shall see. We'll take a look at those a little bit today to see if that's kind of a continuation off of yesterday. And I think that's all we're going to talk about here. All right, let's go over to FinVez. We'll get in our long-term investing. And here is Tesla. Now, when you look at a stock chart, you will not see the split. Now, it hadn't happened yet. I hear you. But after even 2 weeks from now, or excuse me, into September, after the split takes place, because it takes place August 31st is when you'll see the change. But when you look at it later on, you will not see a split. So what happens is the chart pre-split adjusts to the split. So Tesla sitting here at 1374. I know it's higher than that. We'll use 1500 because that may be where it opens today. At 1500, 5 for 1, obviously the stock's going to go down to 300. So your 300 on a chart a month from now, these highs of where it got to almost 1700 are going to show up as like 325 on the chart, right? Because everything is adjusted. So where does this mess you up? If you are doing research on a stock like Apple that's split now 4 going into its 5th split, you will actually look back from today's price, go back 20 years and see that it was selling for like 14 cents. But it didn't ever sell at 14 cents. All it is a math thing. It opened at like 20. It only went higher from there. All it is these splits adjusted retroactively so the chart still represents things correctly, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, reach out and I can explain that to you. But looking at Tesla's chart, obviously a lot behind the stock that runs up its 1700s. It has sold off. Yeah, it is actually in a correction. That's right. That was pointed out to me yesterday by an investor who said, is it time to buy? And I'm like, I haven't really ever wanted to buy, but it is kind of getting close to buy. And of course, when would Elon Musk pull out a stock split out of his hat? Yeah, when the stock's in a correction, right? He basically does everything he can, including some nefarious stuff like tweeting out stock prices to keep his stock up there. So we shall see. But when you look at all the numbers from evaluation, which is that second column down there, there is nothing in the green. It's all red. That's why I keep saying have fun, because if it really has a $707 PE and it should be at 25, that's called crash time. We shall see. Now, if you go over to the 5th column, you'll see the short float, 8.56%. Steve Ankerstar is not in on that. I am now wiser. I am not going to do that anytime soon, but we shall see. Again, that is a pretty significant number of folks betting against it. A lot of that is just billionaire wars being played out in front of us. So, but obviously, if you go to the right column, the returns have been phenomenal. If you've been in the name, you've been rewarded handsomely for taking the risk, and I say good for you. All right, other EV names in play. Let's take a look over to the Schwab Big Board Street Smart Edge, and what we're looking at is 6 individual names. The top 2 are car makers, the middle 2 are truck makers, and the bottom 2 are power providers. So you know about Tesla's chart, pretty nice. NIO's chart is a stock, when you look at it, it went down towards $1, and it's crazy up above, basically at $13. So if you have taken the risk in this name, you have really been rewarded. I think NIO has much more upside than Tesla, and that's not just the stock price thing. It's just that they're at their infancy. And if they do break out as China's leading EV car maker, which it looks like the big money's betting on, then that's going to go higher. Can you buy it here? I can't. I just can't. Now, you could, but I can't because it doesn't really justify the valuation. I would much rather see them miss earnings or something, come back down around to the 6 range, and then buy it from there. All right, going over to the middle left, that's Workhorse. What's the big jump there to above 20 there for a while, now back to 15? That's that pending $5.8 billion U.S. Postal Service contract. A major player from the Middle East has already pulled out. They're in talks every day about releasing these. It's going to be pretty binary move for Workhorse, so strap in. You don't know which way the coaster is going to go. If they get either all, which would be amazing. I don't know that they could handle the entire contract, but whatever they're asking, if they get everything that they're asking for, the stock's going to do extremely well. I see at least a 30% move higher. If they don't get it, or if they get left out, or they get just here's a piece, do this range of trucks, then I could see the stock going back down towards 10. Either way, you kind of have to, if it goes down, you're going to have to look at getting out of the name and admit that I'm wrong. And if they get the contract, probably taking some profits and letting the rest ride. All right, over in KLA, you know that that's a special purpose acquisition, IPO. So they came out of the ashes from whatever it was previously, and then ran up to over 100 in the hype. They have a brilliant chairman that is silver-tongued and can say all the right things, and it has run up significantly based off of everything he has promised. I saw a Facebook ad and it says, get your truck here. And I was like, oh, okay. Wonder how much they're charging for the truck. And it's just a simple pre-order for 2022, which seems like in a year like 2020, 2022 seems like 50 years from now, right? Because we have so many issues this year. But the stock has dropped all the way back down to 30s. It is currently in a bounce, and it's certainly been helped by Tesla here. And their narrative is unwavering. Whether they are making money, losing money, not selling trucks, or selling trucks, it is, we are the next Tesla. We are the Tesla of trucks. So good tagline. That's going to get some money. All right. Plug. You see Plug has run up and then sold off kind of hard yesterday. So did Blink, which is on the right. These are battery pack makers. They both have big contracts out there. They are both going to get more contracts out there because they are the major players in the space. So you've made a lot of money in these, and I don't see a reason for selling a share. Normally I take profits and stuff when it runs up big. You can let this one ride. If one thing I know, the battery folks are going to be around for a long time, and these two have figured it out. I like Blink better than Plug, largely because Plug moved first, and I got Blink at a better price point. I don't know which is best of breed. I cannot make that determination yet, so I do monitor both. All right. That's it for the long-term names. Again, we'll talk more about the stock split later on. But let's go over and take a look at some short names. We've got some names that are going to pop up there in the chat here in a second. And the first one we're going to look at over on the right is mRNA. Obviously, you know the Moderna story. The has been all over. These are long names that we'll talk about first. The Moderna story is they ran up big. Obviously, they have the chloroquine deal out there. So are they going to be the first? I don't know, but there's certainly, we've ordered, I think Trump said 100 million, either dollars worth or vaccines or something. The contract's out there, and that's why the stock's moving higher. So it's at 69 right now, gapping up to 73. That is 6.82%. So that is heart of the envelope for us. So we will be taking a look at Moderna. I like that. Okay. The next one we will take a look at is AEO, American Eagle Outfitters. Let's see if this is earning. Nope, just an upgrade. Lingerie brands promise. I go into American Eagle every now and then. I didn't even know they had lingerie. Not like I shop in that section, but looks like they are on the move. I don't know if an upgrade is going to be enough to move them there, but we shall see. All right, Tesla we already talked about, but we'll pull it up here and kind of look closely, see what they're actually doing today. I like that. 1374, almost up to 1500 like we talked about. So pretty decent move up. And does it have room to run higher? Yes, it does, because look at that. It's been all the way up above 1750 before earnings. So I'm not going to take it long, but you certainly could take it long. And we'll get the exact number here in a little bit as far as what that gap is, but it looks like it's in that 5 to 10%. Okay, so yeah, 6.37, so that meets our criteria for going higher. All right, Roku got a major upgrade. Let's take a look at Roku. Yep, I saw the upgrade from another screen this morning, so they are gapping up from 146 to 154, so not as much, just a couple percent. Maybe that sold off, not quite the volume. Don't really necessarily like that story, but we shall see. Let's check out our cruise lines. As you can see in the chat window, CCL, these were all kind of moving higher this morning. That's a decent size gap, 1582 up to 1622. Maybe that's 4% or so. We shall see. But certainly that is something you could take long. I don't know that there's enough power behind that story to take it long for a day trade, so I'm probably going to pass. All right, let's look at some short names out there. OSTK, Overstock.com had a secondary offering today, and let's see if we can, the secondary is at 84.50, so the stock price sold hard from 92 to 86. So love the move. It fits our thesis. However, it's not going to have a whole lot of more movement, because obviously you see the bid ask there as being pointed out is straddling the offering price, and that makes sense. So move is probably done there. We'll take a look at RRGB short. This is what I talked about just a few seconds ago about as far as the pretty niche target audience that they're looking at, 1090 down to 1020. Let's see if we can pull that out, 6.4% on the way down. So that's probably going to be my top short, if you will. I do like the action all the way in from, it's kind of moved up significantly after being in a downtrend. So I could see that moving back down. Now, shorts have been problematic because of the power and the strength of the market. So I don't like that the futures are up almost 1% or over 1% in the Dow, but I do like the negativity in this story. My only issue is the volume. So we would probably have to wait for a delayed entry and a setup on Roku's, or excuse me, on our RRGB. We'll keep an eye on that volume. All right, and then KODK. I don't know if this is going up or down. It's kind of crazy, but let's just look and see what pops up. Oh, it's gapping up. Why wouldn't it? It's up 5%. So let's see if we can get that headline. I don't see the headline. But again, they have issues with that contract. It is in a clear downtrend. I would not take that long by any means. All right, let's take a look at our tabs. All right, silver on the move up. That's all volume there. Sorrento has been crazy. Moderna, again, that's in the heart of envelope for what we want for something moving higher. I don't see the chart. Let's click that again. I know we just looked at that. My bad for not remembering. 68 up to 73. Does that have room to run up into the 80s? Absolutely, it does. A lot of headlines when you look off to the left. So kind of liking that for our long play. So I'll be putting that probably in the middle screen. All right, Plug Power selling off. Say it isn't so. Moving opposite of Tesla. Let's click on, there it is, Magic. Did we already talk about it? Nope, just Magic. I like it. 11.3 down to 10.28. That is a significant 9% gap down. It has the volume. The stock offering, gotcha, 10.25. It's gap down to it. Well, beautiful gap. Nothing as far as trading. So, but I like that we were on top of it. Jimmy is a name we talked about the other day. I can't remember if we were taking it long or short, but certainly in play. That would be a continuation. That thing is just dropping like a rock, and there's an acquisition headline. I can't remember it. We won't need to look at that. All right, let's see. I saw Overstock pop up there. Again, that's the stock offering one, so we don't need to look at that again. All right, let's take a look at the next tab. Tesla on the gap up. Yeah, I'm not going to take that. I'm not sure it has that much run higher. The rest are trading instruments down to EPAM, low volume. Shopify, no, that's 1% there, not enough to worry about. That's a great name to be in though. All right, those are all good names. Let's go to the next one. We're on the short side now. There's our overstock. It has volume, it's heart of the envelope. I like that. Let's see everything else. Let's check out PSNL. I'm not familiar with that name. Personalis Inc. Okay, common stock gapping down to the offering. That makes sense. Lemonade has been in the news, a little bit low on volume. And I can't remember what they do. Tech name, I want to say. Digital insurance company. So Predator, I know you're in the space. If you have a second, you can offer your thoughts on Lemonade. It's gapping down. Guidance misses in first post IPO report. Misses by 90. Beats on Rev. Let's look at Lemonade for a short. LMND number 2 for the short side. And a little bit low on volume. Again, we'll have to wait on that. All right. And, well, yep, like it. Looking at volume first, there's our American Eagle long on an upgrade. Again, I don't think that's strong enough, but we shall see. 3 minutes to go. All right, let's move to the last one. Lots of low volume names there. So we'll just scan the volume here real quick. Biomerica, not enough time to dig into that. Moderna, we know about. Tesla, we know about. All right, let's switch over to getting our chart set up. We have 2.5 minutes to go. And we're going to put on our left, we will go short, short, long. So we will go RRGB on the left pane. We will go Lemonade on the middle pane, LMND. And then on the right pane, we'll go MRNA with a backup at AEO. Those are kind of my top 4. So we shall see how these set up. The first 2 on the left have volume issues. So we're going to have to be patient and let that happen. And then, of course, Moderna on the right. Already kind of a move higher there pre-market, but it's been all the way up to 77. So could it go up and take that out? I think so. So we shall see. We'll probably watch that first right out of the gate because of the volume is already there. Let's check out in mRNA. Let's go to AEO real quick on that right pane. Okay, volume's a little sparse. This is the long up at 12.5. I don't know if AEO has the power to kind of go higher like mRNA does. So let's go back to mRNA. And again, short, short, long is what we're looking at. As far as stops, RRGB just popped up. You see on the low volume, you can get those 25-cent moves. With a $10 stock, I'm thinking more along the lines of a 10 cent if I can get it. It's going to need the volume to be able to do a 10-cent stop. If volume's an issue, you have to either just go 15 or 20. But when you think of could it move 45 to 60 cents down here, it can. So pay attention to that. So we'll be looking at RGB around the 10 to 20 cent stop there. For LMND, probably looking at more of the 25 to 40 cents. So, all right, just wanted to get that out there. So 30 seconds to the market open for today's plays of the day. You see 4 screens on ThinkPipes here. On the far left, we have the SPY, so we can see the overall trend of the market as it opens. I'll refer to the other 3 panels as left, middle, and right. On the left panel, we have RRGB, that's Round Robin Gourmet Burgers short. In the middle, we have Lemonade short, and then we also on the right have Moderna long with probably, maybe a Moderna. We'll be watching those for the proper setup and entry. We're going to watch Moderna first because we have to wait for volume on the other 2, even though Lemonade Well, both of them got decent volume. So Moderna's long, so starting to sell off there. So we'll just kind of let that go for a second. I would prefer to see it end up down towards maybe 74-ish before taking it back long, and it looks like it may get there. Looking at Lemonade, that's already dropped $1 from the open. Don't really care for that too much. And then our Round Rock, stop saying that. Round Robin Burgers hasn't gone much. All right, let's go back to Moderna. We're going to switch long here. We don't want to take it while it's still in the red. As it goes back north, let's take it at going north at 74.50 is when we will enter. So again, you'll want to take it long at 74.50, and we will do a 50-cent stop as it goes higher here. If it doesn't make it up to 74.50, we'll look for a different entry. But that's where we're staring at right now. A quick glance to the market off the left tells you the market's going higher, so that's going to help our one long here, which is off to the right, and going to go work against our other ones. Okay, let's get back into Moderna. Let's get in at 74.20 will be our entry point. And again, we'll be using a 50-cent stop on this, so size appropriately. And there it is. We're in it. We're at 74.20. So we're down at, yep, thank you, 73.70 as far as our lower stop. We'll get our arrow in here just to put that arrow up, just to make sure you are not confused at the home. And then we're just going to let that kind of go from there. All right, it's flopping all over the place, so we got to stare at it and make sure we don't get stopped out here since their doji is down there. And then we will go into our other. Okay, now we can look away from it because we'll know if we get stopped out. All right, let's, wow, Round Robin Gourmet Burgers that's no good. Let's look at Lemonade though. All right, we just got stopped out of Moderna, so that is an X on that one. Lemonade Power and higher. Again, market's in the green, up 1% across the board. Don't like the action in Red Robin. I do kind of like Lemonade though. We got to let this kind of go for a second and find itself first. On that right screen, let's put AEO, which is American Eagle Outfitters. See, this was our backup long to see if that would have worked. It has not worked yet. It's hanging out at the 7% point though. That's a pretty decent entry as far as our looking at that going higher. But we shall see. We're already down in R, so we're not going to be super aggressive here. I do like, I'm watching back to Lemonade now. Let's take it. If it drops back down to, I need it all the way down to 59.80, actually 59.60 to make sure it's committing down to the downside, and then we'll adjust the stop from there. The good news is if we get it at 59.60 on the way down, then, man, that's got a lot of power. Who's buying Lemonade here? We might have to give up on this name. We shall see. All right. Let's see on the right screen. Let's take a look at Tesla and see how Tesla's doing. See if it's continuing to scream higher. It is not. It is selling off. Everything's kind of working in reverse today. Nice zoom in on the market there. Again, 1% higher. Let's go back to Lemonade. I still like this idea of going short in Lemonade. Let's look at 60. There, we're in 60 short. Let's use a $1 stop up to 61. And then this would, the 3R trade, again, would take us all the way down to 57 to the low of the day. So we'll get our arrow in there and keep an eye on Lemonade short. We're obviously going to need the market to help us with that. In the right screen, let's go ahead and check out, and since we have that set up, let's check out CCL was a long name. We were going to look at the cruise names long. Man, that did not go long. Sold, and not a huge amount there. It's only 30 cents. It looks a lot worse on the chart. All right, so we had that big move up, that 5 minutes in the market. So we'll see if the market starts to sell off. It looks like it's not going to. It's still kind of powering higher. Looking at Round Robin Gourmet Burgers, I could not take that. It just fell too far, and then it's climbed all the way back. I don't think it's going to continue to drop off. So we'll see on Red Robin. Let's check out OSTK on the left. Again, this was, it should have dropped to its stock price. It's probably hanging out there. It actually didn't, popped up pretty decent. All right, and then some other names in the EV space is we looked at, let's look at NIO on that left. Again, we're in the trade in the middle. We're down at an R. We're just going to kind of let that go. We're looking at 57 as our target. All right, NIO up 1% or 2 on the day. Not particularly. That's kind of a decent move down. So that'd be a nice long. That's kind of what you're looking for out of a long entry, is these dojis down here at 13.16. See all those dojis hanging down there? That gives you some long strength. Okay, let's look at some other names. Let's look at Workhorse, WKHS. Up 1%. Boy, it looks like the exact same chart as as NIO, it seems. How about NKLA? See if there's any significant movement out of Nikola. Pretty much the same, moving down just like Tesla did, and then back higher. All right, Plug we already looked at, I think. Let's look at, you'll take a look at it again. Maybe we haven't looked at it. Okay, open, move down, and then back up, and then I'd imagine Blink BLNK is going to be just like that. Actually, Blink moved down to almost 12% yesterday, so that is coming back up nicely. So that's a good move to see, 10% up in Blink. I really like that. Okay, we're going to leave the trading screen here in a minute and go over to our long names. Again, we're in that middle trade in Lemonade. We're up not 0.8 R or so. I'm not worried about that trade. Just let it cook, and let's go over and take a look at our long-term investments. As you know, the market is up percent pretty much across the board. Everything's kind of steady today. You see Blink, you see Tesla, Tencent beat earnings last night. Let's see. ConocoPhillips, DraftKings. So DraftKings and all the other online, the gaming names, they made a move down yesterday off of the Big Ten and Pac-12's move to switch their seasons to the spring. That's kind of backward thinking. Actually, they stand to gain if we cancel sports, because that takes more people from watching to online onto the apps and doing their gambling habits. So good to see that bouncing back today. All right, a lot of names in the green, up over 1% there. I like that. Let's check out the red side. Only a few names. I like that. YCBD, obviously your CBD in a title. That's a marijuana name getting smoked today. A lot of those are penny stocks, so don't worry about that. Clickstream we know about. Luckin down 3% when everybody else is in the green. Luckin takes its football and goes home. That's not uncommon. We'll check in on that chart here in a bit. All right, some bond names, and then LCA, iBuy, and then that is pretty much it. So we go back to the long names and then go back to our trade and see how our trade's doing. Still at an R, so we'll check back on that here in a minute. Okay, catching up on what's going on in the chat. Yes, so the stock split in Tesla is what we're going to look at. We'll talk about that. We'll leave our trade screen up. And again, it's kind of a long, short, long is the way that's set up there. We're not really going to take any more trades, but we'll let Lemonade play out. I don't see it going back above 61, so you can set and forget this. Go to the gym, work out, check back later on and see if you're either at 61 or 57. I like the way it is in position. All right. No question and answer. The chat is clean, so we are going to go ahead and set up for our question of the day. Today's question of the day is, let me get my question of the day, stand by. Today's question of the day is, how does a stock split affect the stock? So we just had an announcement from Apple last week. They're splitting, doing a 4-to-1 stock split. We had an announcement last night from Tesla that they're doing a 5-to-1 stock split. And the question is this good or bad for the stock? Well, I will jump to the answer and say, yes, it's good for the stock, but there's a lot of things that need to be talked about behind the scenes so you know what's going on. And we have Apple put out some frequently asked questions, which I will pass on to you because those might be your questions as well. But when we take a look at what is really going on with the stock split, let's talk Apple first. A 4-to-1 stock split is nothing more than if I were to walk up to you with a $20 bill and say, hey, can I trade you this 20 for 4 $5 bills? That's it. We both started with $20. We both end with $20, but you had 4 more bills than me. And when I trade my 120 in for 4 5s, I now have 4 times the number of bills in my wallet, which doesn't mean anything because they're at a lesser denomination. So that's what you're going to see out of Apple's stock price. It will get divided by 4, and then it will reopen, and then it will trade after that divide. So when you look at Tesla, it is a 5-for-1 split. So that's the same as me walking up to you and saying, hey, do you have change for 100? And you say, yes, I do. I happen to have 5 20s. I give you my 100. You give me the 5 20s. I now have 5 times the number of bills in my wallet, but it's the same value. So if you have $10,000 of Tesla stock on, before the split, you're going to have $10,000 of Tesla stock after the split. So that's how you can think about it. Now, there are some dates associated with these, so let's talk about that. There's a record date that is out there. The record date for all that is when they start doing the math. The record date for Tesla is the 21st of August. The record date for Apple is the 24th of August. All that means is for each stock out there, there's a CUSIP number listed, just like bonds. You normally hear that with bonds. But for each stock share, or if you still have a share certificate in your shoebox in the closet, because that's where grandma and grandpa kept them, it has the actual number on there, and that's how everything's tracked. Now, almost everything is electronically ledgered now, so you don't have to worry about that. But it does take some accounting to multiply all the shares by 4, and then reissue numbers for all of them. So that's what happens on the record date. The split date is when you actually see the shares show up in your account. That, for both stocks, is Friday, August 28th after the close of business. So the market will close at 4 p.m. Eastern. Those things will stop trading because they're in the middle of a split. Then they will go in and reissue 4 times the number of shares. And if you check your app on Friday, you may see that you have some unbelievable gain, or your portfolio just blew up, and you might get all excited until you dig into it and realize, okay, that's just the stock split that's taking place. And then, of course, all that opens for trading for both stocks on August 31st, where, sure, artificially, they'll take whatever the closing price was or the last spot price they had on Friday. Monday morning, they divide that by 4. That's where they open. But remember, the first tick is determined by the first 2 people on the planet to agree to a trade, and then that's what sets the opening price, really. So it's not really they're dividing by 4, they just let it open, but the shares are worth as much. So that's how that works. So let's see, what else can we talk about? Why did Apple decide to split the stock? Well, both companies, Apple and Tesla, give the standard answer of, we want Apple stock to be more accessible to a broader base of investors. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, Apple's stock price is at $440, Tesla's is at 14, jumping all over the place, almost 1,500. So that can be expensive for folks who want to buy a whole share, or 10 shares, or 100 shares. Why would somebody want to buy 100 shares? If you are an options trader, you buy in shares of 100. That's called one lot. So obviously 100 times 440 is $44,000. You might not have that in your account if you have a smaller account. But once things trade, maybe you can take, an $11,000 lot where you buy 100 shares at 110 each, and then that way you can put an options contract on that. So it does make it more accessible. It makes there will be people out there, most of your Robinhood folks, that are going to go, oh, look, Apple stock on sale or Tesla stock on sale, when that's not actually the case. The number of outstanding shares is multiplied by that amount. So you don't own, a stock share is a fractional ownership of a company. You don't own more of the company just because it's split. So that's why both of the companies do it. And again, it generally juices the stock. It really does. So because more people get excited about it because it is, quote, air quotes, cheaper. Now, has Apple stock ever split before? Again, it has. It's split 5 times. This is the 5th split. It's done a couple of 2-for-1 splits starting as early as 1987. I got my start in 1986. Kind of wish I'd bought Apple stock instead of USA Cornerstone. But hey, you don't know what you don't know until later on. But it is split in 87, split in 2000, 2005, and then 2014, it did a 7-for-1 split, which was significant. And then now it's doing a 4-for-1 split. So the important part to think here is when you pull, and again, the split's going to take place on August 31st. So if you go and pull an Apple chart, when you look at the chart and you look backwards, you're not going to see these massive splits right on the chart because all of that is baked in. So in other words, they adjust the chart looking backwards for the split. So in September, when you see, Apple's previous high is, say, it's 455 on the chart, after the split and the stock price sets down closer to 100, you'll see that the actual all-time high was $112 or $111.50. And you're like, well, that doesn't make sense because I remember Apple being over 400. Well, it does all the math for you. And the reason it does that is when you look backwards, you want to actually be able to see kind of 1-for-1 the performance of the stock. And obviously, if the splits were put in there and you actually saw the splits, then companies could use stock splits to manipulate the chart to make it look like their performance is better than it actually was. So it's all baked in. If you go back and look at, even though Apple IPO'd at like $20, you could look back and see its IPO price was like 15 cents. Again, that's all those stock splits working backwards to get to that point. All right. We talked about how it works. And then lastly, what happens if you buy shares in between? Well, after the record date, which is the Friday and the Monday, respectively, for the 2 companies, the shares continue to trade on the open market, but they all have a new CUSIP at that point. So since it has a new CUSIP, you can just trade it up and down. It really doesn't matter because on that Friday afternoon of the 28th, that's when it's all going to go down. It's just the accounting behind the scenes has changed. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, what you do have to, if you are an options trader and you have outstanding options that you either bought or sold in either of these names, there's one of 2 things are going to happen. They're either going to adjust the option, which I have seen, or they let that option stand. They'll adjust the numbers so you know where your strike price is, but then they have like a .A behind it, and then others will trade as a regular option price. So sometimes you will see a set of double options out there. And if you look at that, you just need to know which one you're buying or selling in the options world. If you are an options trader, you're probably significantly advanced to be able to figure that out very quickly. But if you are just beginning in options and the first thing you see is 2 sets of options for every stock price, that could literally, you might run away from options for the rest of your life. So, all right, that is again it for the split, but I do want to talk about there's also stocks have the ability to do a reverse split, which basically, as you can imagine, it's where the other thing happens. They retire instead of issuing 3 more shares for each share. That would be a 4-for-1. They retire 9 of the 10 shares that are out there in a 1-to-10 reverse split. So if a stock price is at $2, like maybe a Luckin Coffee, and they do a 1-for-10 reverse split, again, that can artificially put the stock price up to 20. That can give it some legitimacy because, as you know, mutual funds have to have their stock prices above $5. So it can artificially make something legitimate when it's actually not. So to conclude, a stock split is generally very good for the stock long-term, maybe not tomorrow, don't trade off of it, but for a long-term trend, it is very good, and a reverse split is very bad. So that's all we have for today's show. Please reach out to me through ototnow.com with any questions or comments. Thanks again for joining me, and here's to you fighting the good fight every day to be on time, on target with your financial goals. Thanks. Bye.